All right, my clay is centered, it's opened. I restructured it using this technique, and now I'm ready to do my first lift. So once again, there's a million ways to milk a mouse. There's 1,000 ways to do pottery. So this is not the only way to do it. So this is not the only way to do it or the best way to do it. But I particularly find that the knuckle technique, we call it, is very helpful for beginners to accomplish the most in their first sort of stages of ceramics. So what I'm gonna do is make a really nice firm fist with my outside hand. So for me, that's my right hand. If you're left-handed, it'll be your left hand. Make a nice firm fist. I'm gonna point outwards and say, "You awesome." And I'm gonna curve my finger towards myself and say, "I'm awesome. I got this, I can do this." And make sure that this is really nice and firm, okay? I don't wanna be like this. It's not a fish hook. It's like a shrimp, like just really nice and tight. And this part of my knuckle is gonna go against the wheel. This can be a little uncomfortable. So arm on my thigh here, and I'm gonna bend my wrist over, nice and confidently bend the wrist over. Put this flat part against the wheel, and I'm in the 3 o'clock position here. Okay, a little bit of water is very helpful. So this will be 12, 3, 6. So I'm right at the 3 o'clock position. This is against the wheel. Make contact there, okay? And then on the inside, I'm gonna have my 2 middle fingers right opposite here, okay? So one way to do this, shout out to Alan, who kind of came up with the rock and roll or the Spider-Man, and then you stick your 2 fingers out together, okay? It's like kind of like reverse Star Trek. These 2 fingers are gonna go against the wall here where the floor and the wall meet, okay? So outside here like this, 2 fingers on the inside, right opposite, and then I'm gonna lean my hand over to make contact with my hand, with my thumb and my index finger. This is gonna be very, very important, okay? Elbow down on my thigh if I can. If that's extremely uncomfortable, at least tuck it into your side here, okay? At this stage as well, we wanna really slow our wheel down. So I'm gonna slow down significantly versus the other techniques we've been doing. Okay, so 2 fingers on the inside, finger on the outside against the wheel here. And now the first step is to push with this outside finger towards the center. So these inside fingers right now, they're just applying a little bit of contact, not pressure yet. The first move is to push this towards the center, okay? I'm gonna push in, and I'm kind of using the entirety of this here. You can sort of see how the majority of my finger is actually making contact. As I push in, I will notice that I'm gonna move that clay upwards. So I haven't even moved my fingers up, and I've already lifted that clay a significant amount. So that's super important to just apply a ton of pressure here. Pushing in on the inside, I'm gonna have my 2 middle fingers. Now that I see that that's happened, I'm gonna apply a little bit of pressure on the inside. Not a crazy amount, because I don't wanna break through, but enough to provide some support. And then I'm gonna move these hands upwards at the same time. So pressure from the outside in, gentle pressure on the inside, fingers connected here and here, push in, and then I'm gonna lift my fingers upwards. As I do this, I should see that lump of clay moving upwards to the top of the rim. My inside finger should finish first at the rim before my outside fingers because they are staggered. A little bit of moisture on there, so I'm here, and as I go through, I'm gonna let this inside finger finish first, and then my outside finger is gently gonna catch up, and I'm gonna very gently move through the rim without squeezing. Do not squeeze your fingers together. That's a very basic pull. Don't stop in the middle like I did, but I was stopping to show you that the inside finger should be higher than the outside. So come back, compress your rim, gentle fingers, holding the rim here, index finger right over top, make a nice sort of channel to trap that clay in, gentle pressure down, and that will keep this nice and solid. So I'm gonna do that one more time. Whenever I put water on the pot, I like to take my fingers and just hold the clay kind of near the rim and then squeeze on my fingers so it gets a really nice even application, okay? And whenever you add water to the pot, make sure you take it out of the center again. You do not want to let water sit on the inside of your pot. That can kind of break down that clay a little bit and maybe cause cracks down the road. So always remove the water from the inside. Add water, take water away. And my outside hand is gonna push towards the center. Slow my wheel down significantly. As I push towards the center, I should see that I'm getting a really nice, clean line on the bottom here. That tells me that I've pushed hard enough. Now on the inside, I'm gonna apply pressure outwards, just a little bit. I don't wanna drive through, but enough pressure to encourage this lump to stay there. Okay, so pushing from the outside towards the center, so this hand is pushing in. These two fingers are gonna apply a small amount of pressure towards the center, just enough to feel that clay. Give a good squeeze, and I'm gonna lift my hands together. The only way you can lift your hands upwards together is if they are connected. So connected here, connected here, connected here, and connected here. Very important. Push in from the outside, and I'm gonna lift my hands up towards the ceiling, towards the rim. As I get here, my inside fingers are gonna finish first, okay? That lump of clay, that ring you see, should move all the way up to the top of the pot, to the rim. As I get here, my inside fingers are gonna finish first, and I'm gonna very gently let this one catch up, okay? And then I'm gonna move through my rim very casually. Do not squeeze your hands together. This is a very common mistake. You wanna move through nice and slowly and just finish here, okay? And you can come back and compress. If you're an absolute legend, as you get here, you can put a finger here and then pull into that finger, and that can be a compression at the top. So you can finish all in one move. Come back, compress your rim, and then we're ready for our next pull. Okay, so on the outside, I've got my firm fist, and I got this out into a knuckle like that. This is gonna be bending down here. On the inside, I have my two fingers right opposite that. There's gonna be a bit of a staggering happening here. So I'm gonna have my inside fingers slightly higher than my outside, and you actually want that. You wanna maintain that all the way through your lift. If you do not maintain that and you do this, you will lose the clay and you'll get a thin spot. And that often happens right about here for beginners. It's very common because this hand drives up and kind of lift your shoulder or you lift your hand and you move that past. You really wanna make sure that you're lifting together. After a pull, when you're getting towards the top, check and see what your positioning is. Did this one finish first? Then you know you've changed. Did they finish at the exact same time? Then you know you've changed. If you're lifting and this ends up being staggered and finishing first, you know that you probably did a good job maintaining that position, and then you can let that one catch up, come back, and square it off. So I'll do that one more time, a little bit of water in there. Remember, add water, take water away. I like to kind of clean up my side of my wheel here. You can use your sponge to push down into the wheel and then push into the pot. That can be very helpful to get that clay into the wall there. So I push down into the wheel and then slide this in and push towards the pot. That can help me get rid of that skirt. Some people like to throw with the sponge. That's cool too. I find that if you learn to throw with the sponge, you don't always get that dexterity and that feeling of those fingers. I will throw smaller pots with my finger like that. So I would encourage you to try and use your fingers before a sponge so that you kind of understand and feel that finger positioning. It can help you develop a bit more of a tactile understanding of what you're doing inside your pot. Okay, so I'm gonna have that knuckle back out here. I've pushed the clay in a little bit with my sponge. I'm gonna put that back so that flat part is gonna go against here. First arm on my thigh, bend the wrist over, make contact here, two fingers on the inside. I'm gonna push with this outside finger in, and I'm gonna push with this inside finger out. Just enough, just a little bit. I don't wanna push so hard that I break the pot, okay? But I wanna push enough that I do actually see that I'm impacting the clay to get this ring happening. So right behind here, this is where my inside fingers are, okay? And then my knuckle is below that. That's how this ring will follow itself all the way to the top. So my hands are connected, okay? Fingers here. My thumb is kind of hanging out on the pot, but it is still touching. And I'm gonna lift straight up. I should see that ring moving all the way up my pot. If I change my finger positioning, I will lose that ring. If I do not apply enough pressure on the inside, I will lose that ring. As I get to the top, my inside fingers are gonna finish first, and then I will find myself here, and then I can come back and compress this here, okay? So this was about a pound and maybe a little less than a pound and a half of clay. This is a decent cylinder from that amount of clay to then shape and kind of turn into something. I'm gonna do one more general pull to get a little bit more clay out of this, and then we'll take a look on the inside. I'll cut it and we can see what it looks like on the inside so that we can have an idea of what is happening with a very clear view. So I'm putting my fingers in the pot like this so I can get my fingers on the sides of the clay, and then I'm adding water to my fingers here so it goes down and coats this whole clay. You can take your sponge then and kind of get in there and soak out any of that water because you don't want to leave it inside your pot, okay? So if you've got your pot kind of coming into a bit of a cone like this and you got to get in, it's okay to stick your hand in there and flex that out a little bit. Just be gentle with it. If you can keep your thumb on connected here, as this gets higher, you might not be able to. Try your best. And one thing you want to watch out for is that this elbow doesn't come like way out here. Do your best to sort of tuck it in. So I'm kind of pivoting like this and then turning my wrist a little bit so I can still make contact here. Ideally, I'll be down here, but as it gets taller, it's just not really possible. So I'm still gonna tuck in here, and I'm still gonna try to have a connection here, okay? It can be a bit tough, so if you can't, it's okay if it comes out a little bit, but don't go way out here, okay? So making contact on that bottom, same thing. I'm gonna use my sponge. I'm gonna press into that corner there a little bit just to kind of tuck that clay in, and then I'm gonna push on the inside out. As I push a little bit on the outside in, so pushing on the outside towards the center and on the inside outwards to see that I have that lump. Once I see I have that lump, I know I can begin to move my hands upwards. My wheel is still going at a medium-low speed. I'm a click below medium. Okay, and I'm just gonna lift this straight up, take my time, watching that ring moves all the way up my pot. As I get to the top here, I'm gonna very gently find my way to the top and easily finish with that inside finger first, and then I'm gonna let this outside finger gently catch up and then come back and compress that rim like that, okay? There we go. Now that I've got my cylinder here, I'm gonna cut this open and I'm gonna see what it looks like on the inside and give you a very clear view of what my finger positioning is. My wire tool, I'm gonna cut this in half and just straight through, and we'll take a look, okay? So you can see the walls are relatively even, okay? They're roughly about little bit about a 1/4 inch, kind of similar to that floor there, and pretty even all the way through. So that's a good indicator that I kept my hands and my fingers all in the same positioning as I lifted. If I had any thin spot or thick spots, I know that I've probably varied my contact points, my pressure, or that I have changed the positioning of my fingers. So one thing that really helped me understand my hand positioning and understanding pressure. So a lot of beginners are like, oh, how hard do I squeeze? What should it feel like? Lifting is not about squeezing, it's about maintaining your position. So you do have to like resist the clay, but you don't want to think about it as squeezing. You want to think about it as like stopping yourself from going open, right? So I don't want to squeeze, because if I squeeze, I'll continue to like close that gap. So maintain this position. It's just like when you pipe a cake, if you've ever like written on a birthday cake or whatever, there's a hole in that bottom of the bag. It doesn't matter how hard you squeeze, that hole stays the same. That's the gap between your two fingers here. So however hard you're tightening or squeezing, this gap shouldn't change as you lift. Okay, so on the inside here, I've got my 2 middle fingers right at that floor. Okay, on the outside, I have my knuckle or my finger or my sponge, whatever technique I'm using, I wanna still be in this position. I'm gonna add pressure from the outside in as I add pressure from the inside out. So it's doing this. The only way I'll get this is if I'm staggered, okay? So that right there is that ring that you see moving up the clay. Keep my hands connected, and as I lift, I wanna maintain that position. So you see how I'm maintaining the height difference here, okay? And as I move up, that ring, that little lump of clay will move up with me because I'm maintaining that position, okay? As I get to the top here, my inside fingers will very gently finish first, and then I will let this one catch up, nice and easy, even that out, and then I'll come back and give a gentle compression. And you can see from that, I got already about a ½ inch or so of height difference because that clay is squeezing through that gap. Here's what you don't wanna do. So as I lift, right, push in, push out, I'm lifting, and then I'm gonna let this outside finger catch up and do that. That is exactly what happens when you get those thin spots or that wobble at that kind of lower section, is because this is happening. And then if you continue to lift and squeeze, you will rip your clay, okay? So make sure you're maintaining the gap, you're maintaining the distance between the inside and outside fingers, and lifting that through nice and easy. Oh, we're going sideways. But you get the idea. Cool.